All right, so welcome to Josh. Welcome to the Beverly Hills 90210 show. Chuck and I have decided to do a little side interview with you because your schedule is very busy. But I know the fans.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
That's cool. The fans were.
Success has its price, Josh.
When we announced this episode, Clean Slate was one of the ones we're talking about this week. Everybody started immediately saying, well, we need to have Josh on the show. We need Josh Richland. And I was like, you know what I mean? Like, okay. And then I told Chuck we need to have Josh, and they were like, and then whatever happened, but here we have you. So Josh.
That's so weird and so cool.
Josh Richland.
All right, yeah. So here's something that your fans may not know. I don't like being called Josh. It's the one name I do not like to be called.
So, that's interesting because that's your character's name, and you are also Joshua in real life. I mean, I'm sorry, Chuck, I don't even know if you know, but like, how did you name him Josh? Do you know that? Was it just based on his name?
That's one of those.
It was Josh before I was on. It was Josh before I was on the show. When I auditioned, it was Josh. I can tell you. I know that.
Yeah, so that was This is just coincidence.
Do you remember?
Sorry, what's that again? Do I remember what?
I was going to ask if you remember auditioning, but you were going to say something.
I do, and I have no, and that was what it was, and this just came back to me. So I originally, and Chuck, I don't know if you remember this. So I originally auditioned for the role of the guy that Matthew Peretta ended up playing. Do you remember that?
That was the Andrea's first time guy.
Right, exactly.
Dan Rubin.
Yeah.
Dan Rubin.
And I killed it. I killed that audition. To this day, I think probably I was the best audition that you saw. And I think at the time, I remember thinking really, really clear. And by the way, I knew Matt, and I liked Matt a lot, and I thought he was a terrific actor. And I'm glad that he did the part.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking really clearly, oh, you guys didn't cast me because I wasn't handsome enough. And it was like, and I remember feeling like really, really hurt by that. And I just have such vivid memories because I felt like this is not a meritocracy. That you should be giving the part to the person who came in and did the best audition. And then I'm pretty sure, Chuck, it was you who called me back and said, look, you did a really great job and we want to cast you in something. Can you come back and read for this part? Am I remembering that right, Chuck? Do you have any memory of that?
Of the call? I don't, but it's something that
of any of this thing that I'm talking about, any of that stuff.
Well, no, because here's the one thing I'm thinking about. Now, Joshua, you may have given a terrific audition, and you did. I mean, we wanted you. You are so good in this part. And when we've been talking about the fact that when a good actor came in, we were going to recycle that actor some way. Mark Kiley, who played the advisor of the high school newspaper in the third year, came in for a different part. But the one thing you said, you did a terrific audition. I'm sure you did, but I don't believe you were in the room when Matthew did his audition because. It's hard to compare apples and oranges.
I wasn't, like I said, right. No, I'm telling you, I remember my lived experience of that moment was like, it was such a good audition. I'm positive that nobody could have done this better than I did.
And let's understand, that's one of the reasons why, acting is such a difficult lifestyle choice, and one that we're talking to Joshua Beckett, who, like many really smart actors, end up in their post-acting career being therapists. I just read another one today. We have Carol Potter, of course, which you talked about. There's a woman named Catherine Harold, who was an actress who was making the rounds at a certain point, and I found out she was Lawrence O'Donnell's ex-wife. She too has become a family therapist.
Yeah, and Carol and I are colleagues now, which is so crazy and sort of,
it's trippy. Yeah,
it is, right? It's like, but anyway, I didn't have the temperament for it. I didn't have the temperament to stay in the business.
Do you think?
And I ended up becoming a writer, a writer and a producer ultimately. And then I sold 6 TV pilots, and I just didn't have the temperament for that.
Well, they when they talk about in the development of television series, there's an old joke, and it's how can you tell the joke is how many television executives does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Yeah, what's that?
Does it have to be a light bulb?
Right.
That is the experience of the television creator.
I love that.
Yeah, and I could not. I just could not. I didn't have a temperament for that.
Yeah,
That's a tough one too. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to make sure that you heard me super clearly, I love Matt. I'm so glad he got cast in that part.
Yeah, we got that. Yeah,
and he was more handsome than I was. So.
Yes, that was a compliment. I took that as that you gave Matt a very big compliment there. Now, when Chuck did call you back and said, "Hey, we have this part for you of this Josh Richland," do you remember that conversation too at all, or?
I don't. I mean, but I do vaguely remember. I really don't, but I do vaguely remember that Chuck and I connected through either the center or like some shared past or something like that, through school, childhood, something. But I don't remember anything sort of past.
Well, your stepbrother, I believe it would be your stepbrother, was in one of my daughter's grades.
There you go. Yeah, my half brother. Yeah.
Half brother,
Yeah, Max. Yeah.
And did you?
Who went to Columbia Film School and is in the business now?
Is he?
Well, I mean, comparatively to the part that you read for Dan Rubin, I think Josh, the character Josh Richland, has a lot more. There's a lot more that's going to happen with him than what happens sort of with Dan and Andrea. So you sort of got a really great part to be a part of. Do you remember sort of getting into the role and figuring out who Josh Richland was and who he was going to be for you?
I don't. There was a period. This was like a period in my career where I did a string of parts where I was playing a lot of dicks, and it was just, I don't know. I mean, I just dropped into that.
You know what it is?
What?
You got penalized for your intelligence. Let's be honest. Smart people are dicks in television.
So I tapped into that. And by the way, I don't think that character. I don't think Josh was a dick, but I think that he. But there was a part of him that was a dick, and that was the part that I tapped into. And I don't remember that much more about it, but it was Brandon and I had a very. Jason and I had a really a good, easy rapport off camera. We both had really, really big dogs, and I used to bring my Great Dane to the set. It was a really nice set to work on. I mean, obviously, it was a very well-oiled machine. They'd been doing it for a long time, but everybody was really, really like easygoing. I think my memory is that you guys balanced. Professionalism and efficiency without sacrificing, I don't know, humanity, dare I say it? I mean, it was somebody, I mean.
It took a while for us to do that. It took me 5 years to tell Paul Wagner, I don't care what your schedule is. All the Jews do not have to work on Yom Kippur. They're getting off. So that was, I thought, a big
That's
step
awesome.
for us.
I brought my Great Dane every day. So, and that was a 150-pound animal, and I neglected, however, to tell the wardrobe department that he was in my trailer. And so, of course, you're on set or whatever, and then wardrobe just brings stuff to your trailer and leaves it in the trailer so that when you come back, it's just there and waiting for you for the next scene. And to this day, I still feel a little bit bad because I think opening a trailer, which is like 10 feet long, and there's a dog that's roughly half the size of the trailer sitting in there, and you open it up and you're not expecting it. I think that would be probably pretty startling. So.
I'm amazed you got the dog onto the property. Paul Wagner was no dogs on the set, but I guess you didn't take it to the set. You kept the puppy in the trailer.
Oh, I didn't take him on the set. I only left him in my trailer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so the character comes in and he's got this, at first I think he has some stuff with Andrea, right? Chuck, we were talking about
Yeah, I think your starting was that you were the editor of the Condor and you didn't really care that
what she had done.
What she did in high school.
Right.
Right.
Do you remember working with Gabrielle at all?
Say it again.
Do you remember working with Gabrielle, Andrea?
I remember that she was very nice.
Yeah.
I remember she was really nice. And that I'm assuming, and I was never one of these guys who I was not part of celebrity culture. I didn't particularly care about that, but I would not be surprised if she had a reputation as being a really nice person. She seemed like a really nice person.
Definitely. Well, she's now the president of the Screen Actors. SAG.
Yeah, I think I just read that. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's done quite well. You know what I really thought watching the Clean Slate, which is the one was going to be featured in the upcoming videocast we're doing, because we're featuring the director named Bethany Rooney, who's just had a wonderful career and did a lot of really nice episodes for us over the years.
I remember her being very nice.
Yeah, she and skillful and as very skilled as a director. One of the secrets of her longevity is her changing her styles so much. But in watching with her, you really played it like a New Yorker. You really reminded me of somebody. I don't know if you grew up in Manhattan, but you had that, that almost disaffected. I'm pretty smart. I know this. I'm going to quip with you. It was somebody who in the television's universe you wanted to be with. No matter, even if you were in the fourth year, if you remember, you were kind of a pain because you were trying to find out if Brandon had taken the test for the basketball player. But in this instance, it was, the political machination and the independent guy. And, I felt at watching that episode before you guys walk out and it's the beginning of the end, that had it been a different universe, you would have ended up being, and I think it's in the very lugubrious episode that follows, it's pretty clear you would have been one of his close friends for life on this one. You guys had a lot
probably true
together, so that I think it amplified the sadness of that, and it really was a cautionary tale. If you're going to be a New Yorker and you're going to move to Los Angeles, you get a better driving instructor.
Yeah,
you didn't drive in Manhattan,
Yeah, that's funny.
Were you playing it like a New Yorker? Was that something?
I have a feeling that, I think half of the shit that I did, not as an actor, that was that's the question. Were you playing that as a New Yorker? Are you from New York?
Right.
I'm fourth generation Angelino.
Yeah.
So I was not.
Right.
I was certainly not trying to play it like a New Yorker, but I think that was. I don't know. There's a kind of an East Coast Jewy thing that just comes out, and not exactly sure why, but
that's a part of you. You're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just a part of me.
Yeah. Here's a question that we have. Did you know you were going to die in the third episode? Did we tell you that coming back to the fifth season, or did you open up this script, read it, and say, "Oh, I'm not going to be at craft service tomorrow"?
Yeah, no, it was more like that. It was more like, I think I just misread this. Let me go back and read these pages because it seems like I die here. That can't be right. No, I just went back. Right.
Yeah.
They're like, wait, no, let's see. And then I started just reading it really slowly, making sure that I wasn't missing anything. It's yeah, no, that's me. That is definitely my character.
So if we didn't kill you and you stayed to the entire season, let's say, and beyond, would you still be an actor now?
If you hadn't killed me, would I still be an
You've
actor?
been in every episode, and then you've got the main titles or whatever. You know, I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Well, 90210 notwithstanding, I mean, that would have been great, Chuck. And, you know, by the way, a belated fuck you for not doing that. But because you know what? What's funny is like I was recognized for those. I think it was like 5 or 6 episodes, right? 5 or 6 episodes that I did.
Yeah, well, you did about 2 or 3, maybe in the fifth what was our 5th season, but the one before, I think I just looked it up. You did 8 episodes.
8 episodes, 8 episodes, right? Yeah. So, and I was recognized more for those 8 episodes of TV that I did than I was ever recognized
for the Marshall Chronicles.
For Marshall Chronicles, even for that. So anyway, to answer your question, if I could have, and if I'd had the temperament for it and the spirit for it, I mean, I would still be an actor. I loved doing it. It was, I loved doing that more than anything else I've ever done.
I mean, and you played this so well. You know, there is such like a natural quality to your acting as Joshua or Josh Richland. Like I buy it all the way through that. And the way it's written is wonderful. And the way you play the words is incredible as well, because as you see that character develop, and you don't have as much time to get into the character, right? I mean, like Brandon's going to be there every episode for 2 seasons, but you only have a certain amount of time to sort of grow Josh's character, whether it be a few episodes of season 4 or season 5, but your ability to sort of play that naturally, I think was one of your gifts that you were able to do in that role. You have some scenes with Carol Potter in some of this stuff. Have you guys?
And she did not. And she, by the way, I mean, you know, this is like how insignificant guest stars on television shows are, right? Because I mean, Carol had all of these years behind her, and I remember, I think Carol sent me a referral as a therapist, and I wrote back just to say, you know, hey, thanks so much, and by the way, did you know that I was on 90210? And she was like, really? Huh? No memory of you whatsoever. Tell me again, what was your name? Who did you play?
Yeah.
And by the way, Carol, such a nice human being.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
She's the sweetest. Yeah.
So nice, and no doubt a wonderful therapist.
A lot of times we ask people that have been on the show about their encounters with fans. So have there been any interesting or odd encounters with fans where you got recognized? Somebody told us they got recognized just from their voice alone.
My wife.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get recognized by my voice alone. I was recognized in the supermarket one time, but no, the most sort of embarrassing is like, again, like I worked at a community-based organization. So I'm as a therapist, my specialization is trauma. So I do a lot of trauma work, and I work with survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence. And like, it's very serious work, and it's, and then you're walking around in this community-based organization, and you're doing the serious work, and someone goes, hey man, I just found out what you used to do, and I'm just like, so that is sort of the oddest, kind of scenario that I can think of. It's so out of place, and it's such a long time ago, and it feels, you'd think it would be a welcome kind of respite to talk about that in the context of my work, but I don't know. I find it. I don't know. It's not embarrassing, because I'm proud of the work that I did, and the show obviously meant so much and continues to mean so much to people. But I don't know. I guess it's just a weird,
like a little bit of a curveball. You don't expect it, maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of the way that I was
Yeah, that
feeling.
happened. I've only had that once with a client, thankfully, but I'm positive other clients have Googled me and just not said it.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, I had the experience watching this episode, and I think it really summed up what was the subtext to how most people relate. Because, there's actually a line in here that goes, well, if you hate Professor Rosen so much, why don't you just drop his class?
I heard that.
And the subtext of that, they make this horrible little kid in the second year. They call him Chucky.
Right.
They, it's little subtle things like that. Hey, everything's context. It's all context.
It's all everything. Well, yeah, everything is context. That's exactly right.
You're a therapist now. Has your acting work helped? We talked about that earlier. A lot of actors become therapists. Did that help you at all in the work that you're doing now? Do you have a deeper understanding because of the parts that you played, maybe, or is it not really?
That's a really good question, Pete. I try to be really creative in my work. Mm-hmm. Sort of the thing that has driven me for most of my life is creativity. I mean, that's the thing that I've most been driven by, and so I think that I think it helps in that way. I think because as an actor, you meet so many different kinds of people, and you play a lot of different kinds of people, and you spend a lot of time thinking about the inner lives of people. I think that that's really helpful. Because so it's interesting. I mean, I'm just sort of thinking about this sort of anew as you've asked. So there's a great acting teacher named Stanislavski that every young actor studies, reads, and he talks about the magic what if, for an actor. Well, what if this were happening to you? What if you were in this set of circumstances or context? And so I think that actors routinely, and I suppose that this speaks to empathy, or at the very least compassion, actors routinely are asking, what this might be like. And actors routinely, even if they are playing a dick, are asking, are asked not to judge, or that at least they should, in my opinion, right? You're not judging your own character unless the character himself or herself is a character who carries a lot of shame and judgment about themselves. But
sure,
as an actor, I'm not judging the character, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that may also, although I've never really thought about it before until this moment, but I mean, I think that may inform the work as a therapist.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking.
Well, one of the things I had said to Peter, and I really feel this, is that those like yourself, who get to that point and say, you know what, this isn't right for me, and go on to do something else that's really productive for society, I always admire. I tried it for a while, being a teacher at UCLA for a while afterwards, and was something I thought I would have done earlier, and maybe without 90210, I probably would have. So I understand and how this stuff is interrelated. And
yeah, but and it's funny because I think that it's easy to think about like the work that I was doing as an actor and that anybody does as an actor, or 90210 is like, well, that's not really important work, it's not important for society. But you go back to like Preston Sturges, Sullivan's Travels. I don't know if you remember that, and
I do.
And what he learns about how meaningful it is. Like when people have, some people don't have anything else, right? They come home at the end of a routine work day and or whatever it is that's going on in their lives, and they sit down in front of 90210 And there's something dependable. There's something predictable. I don't mean the plot. I just mean that I know that every week I'm going to spend time with these people. I like these people. And this is in that way enriching my experience of living right now. And so while I think it's easy to say that, the work that I'm doing or Carol's doing or anybody is like somehow more socially relevant or valuable, and I think in my 20s I would have said that. What I've come to believe and understand is that it's all what actors do is super, super important for a lot of people. Look at these super fans who's like,
no question,
this is bringing meaning to their lives. So
it still does, and some of the storylines and whatnot, and even this episode, A Clean Slate, has some powerful stuff right inside it. Some things that were being talked about through the politics and the process of what your character was doing and running for this election, and there's even some talk about, I think this was one of these episodes about a person of color and with Deshaun and all that stuff. So it's resonating all these years later. Some of the stuff that you guys wrote and performed in, all those years ago. Some of the stuff is still happening in our society, and we're dealing with a lot of that.
Well, what I was wondering about was, sort of specifically, like culturally or socially, where like, oh, nobody thought twice about this back then. Looking at it from the perspective of 2020, sort of like politically, socially, culturally, are there any just moments, not even the whole episode, but just like, because I'm just riffing off of what Pete just said about, people of color and, certain episodes that still are politically relevant. And I'm wondering on the flip side of that, so you guys did a bunch of stuff that sounds like you guys were really, progressive or forward thinking. I'm wondering, on the flip side of that, is there anything that you look back on now and you go like, wow, from the context of 2020, that particular moment or this particular character or the way we treated certain topics was
the one that was hard for me to watch, and one of the reasons that we're not featuring it in our Bethany Rooney tribute episode is any time that David Silver, the Brian Austin Green character, the freshman, had his video camera and was trying to do a Porky's and film girls in their locker rooms and things. That makes me cringe a little bit.
Yeah.
And a few of the other just kind of kind of standard, almost a cliche. We always would say our show was basically, if you got a problem, don't worry, they're going to get therapy. So we just kind of hand them off to you, Joshua, and say, here's with some therapy. But what's good, and this is also, remembering what we did, remembering the impact it had, comparing it, what we did well in this, and also to re-hook up with friends and colleagues like yourself. So I really on behalf of Pete, I know you got to get back to your practice. I just want to thank you so much. And look, you and I, when you have an hour or so, I'm down in Venice. I'll give you a ride to the beach, and we can break bread or something. I would like that a lot.
Oh, I would love that. That would be so great.
Before you leave, you looked at this episode, A Clean Slate. When you look at it all these years later, what is your thoughts on your performance, that time period? Like, what do you think about the?
I was like, why were my pants so high? Like, who let me wear my pants that high?
Pierre Cardin. You have to blame Pierre Cardin. It was a holdover for the.
Literally, that's
that high-waisted stuff.
What was with the pants? Why?
Just be glad you're not a woman. Look at some of these blue jeans that Carol Potter had to wear. No offense, Carol. It wasn't you. It was the designers.
For sure.
Oh my God.
Anything else that you looked back on and thought about this? Do you think the episode holds up all these years later?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I was really delighted to watch it, and I think it holds up really well. And I don't have other any other memories that I think would be especially meaningful for your fans. But it was a real pleasure to be able to talk about it with you both, and to see you again, Chuck. That was really a pleasure for me. And Pete, nice to meet you too.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man. It was great having you here. I would like to add that you and Brandon would probably be doing way better with the country currently.
Yeah, if we were actually on the ballot, on the ticket, that would be fantastic. Maybe I'll call Jason. Chuck, text me his number. We'll get on.
There you go. All right, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.